By 1998, the computer-generated dinosaurs of Jurassic Park and other state-of-the-art movie monsters were taking the biggest bites out of the box office. In the wake of their success, filmmakers Roland Emmerich and Dean Devlin, the team behind the sci-fi blockbuster Independence Day, set out to reinvent Godzilla for a new generation.
Said, we can't do it straight. And then all of a sudden we realized, yeah, if they let us change Godzilla enough, if they kind of let us do our movie, if we can change even the image of Godzilla, we would be interested.
But what happened is about 95% of the film is digitally animated, and a sleeker, faster, meaner, more agile, wilder Godzilla than you've ever seen before.
Emmerich and Devlin cast Broadway and film star Matthew Broderick as a biologist in hot pursuit of the marauding monster. He was joined by Maria Patillo as a novice TV news reporter and Hank Azaria as an over-caffeinated cameraman.
Well, I've always been a fan of Godzilla, so I just got a call that said, the people who did Independence Day are doing Godzilla and want you to star in it. And I was like, are they sure? And yeah, and I'll be right there. I'm on duty.
44 years after he first emerged from Tokyo Bay, Godzilla was ready to sink his teeth into a new city.
It also just was interesting to see New York transformed and lit, blocks and blocks of it, and soldiers and tanks going down Fifth Avenue.
You have to pretend with a capital P. It's a little odd. That was early in shooting. By then I was still okay. It was after 3 months of pretending a big giant lizard was after you that you start realizing this, technically is a form of insanity, believing a big lizard is after you.
Emmerich and Devlin's revamped Godzilla was launched with one of the most lavish and extensive publicity campaigns of the 1990s.
To see an American company take on Godzilla with a big budget, that was just really exciting. And I remember seeing the trailers, and all that was handled awesomely.
Godzilla opened in 3,310 theaters on Memorial Day weekend 1998. The movie stomped, pummeled, and crushed its competition at the box office, earning a record $74 million in 3 days. It went on to gross over $300 million worldwide. But reviews were mixed, and hardcore Godzilla fans mostly breathed fire over their hero's Hollywood makeover.
I despised the American Godzilla remake. I thought that it was a totally wrong approach. It was too serious. It was too derivative of other big-budget American science fiction and fantasy films. He was just another misunderstood creature.
If they called it something else like Giant Iguana or whatever, I mean, I would have loved it. But having the title Godzilla, you expect, this I don't know, mutated, dinosaur type thing coming out at you with fire and destroying cities and whatnot. This Godzilla, he was running from the airplanes and hiding in the buildings.
For die-hard fans, Godzilla would always be a guy in a green lizard suit. And to their delight, that tradition continued in Japanese-produced hits like Godzilla 2000 and All Monsters Attack in 2001.
He's kind of gone back to the roots of becoming more of a destructive force. All Monsters Attack. He was incarnation of dead spirits of all the Japanese that died during World War II, and their spirits just taking out their aggressions on Japan, because supposedly Japan has forgotten their sacrifices during World War II.
Perhaps the ultimate experience for any Japanese monster fan is G-Fest, an annual gathering in the U.S. that attracts up to 1,000 admirers.
My first movie, I think, was Godzilla vs. King Kong, and I think I was the only kid in the class rooting for Godzilla.
I showed him his first film, and he's been hooked ever since.
A guy named J.D. Lees was able to gather common Godzilla fans from around the country, and from there, G-Fest was born. They'll have all kinds of Godzilla collectibles for sale for the fans, like from movies, posters, toys, you name it. There's also little events, like sometimes the director will show up from Japan. The little kids, they have costume contests.
And here he is!
In 2004, Godzilla also got his due from one of Hollywood's most respected film societies. The American Cinematheque celebrated his 50th anniversary at the historic Egyptian Theater.
We expect a wide range of people because Godzilla is just a well-known film character throughout the whole world.
Fans were lined up around the block. We had several of Godzilla's creators, special effects guys from the Golden Age. There was memorabilia, actual production artwork from those films that was put on display. It was really a great time for fans and creators of the films to actually come together.
He just appeals to something in everyone. Some people, they think he's cute. The guys, they think he's just cool. Be able to unleash your energy and, you know, destroy buildings. I mean, that's kind of a fantasy, I guess, for a lot of people. They're primarily guys, but I have met a few girls that think Godzilla's cute. And so, yeah, there's definitely girl fans out there.
Since I was born, I grew with Godzilla and Gamera and Mothra. Godzilla has emotion. Especially in 1984, I cried it. I cried in the theater, and I got videotape, and every time I see that one, I cry.
When Animal Icons returns, the monsters of Japan get ready for their biggest battle ever. In 2004, Toho Studios announced it was retiring the character of Godzilla and that its upcoming movie, Godzilla Final Wars, would be his last film. But fans around the world had heard those kinds of warnings before.
I don't really think Godzilla's going to go away for long. He's a very profitable franchise, and there's really no reason for Toho not to make Godzilla movies. In fact, there's many reasons, many green reasons, for them to make lots and lots of Godzilla movies. So my suspicion is that after a short hibernation, we'll be seeing him again in a few years.
Godzilla, Godzilla.
More than 50 years after Godzilla first terrified audiences, toppled buildings, and threw Tokyo into turmoil, audiences still can't resist this rubber-suited wonder. And his creature co-stars, whose personalities are as big as their fanatic following. Whether serving as a symbol for the real-life horrors of atomic warfare, or camping it up for preteen movie fans, Japanese movie monsters remain a towering force in pop culture around the world.
Godzilla is the series they always come back to, and the ones that generations of fans have grown to know and love.
Godzilla actually has some sort of emotion, you know? He gets sad, he gets quizzical, he gets mad. So I think it's that appeals to us, and it's also the wonderful sight of seeing two grown men in rubber suits throwing fire at each other and destroying buildings. I mean, there's nothing better than that.
Absolutely fascinating that people would become so swept up by something that grew out of Japan's fear of nuclear radiation. It's a phenomenon.